As you all know by the title of the video, I'm a former greener. I used to green people for fun, because I didn't really have much else to do. Then, I received 2 bans for greening, and I decided no more. I didn't want to get terminated, so I didn't do it anymore. Um, but I remember, like, one or two specific moments in which I was actually greening people. One of them I was in a VP, and I would make the VP phantom jump. That's how long ago this was. It was when the VP could still phantom jump. You could make the VP swipe at you when he was jumping, and it would damage everyone for 10 if they were still on the ground. And I was successful and I greened everyone. And I prefer not to talk about it, but I'm talking about it right now. Another time was a very similar glitch in the CJ, when you could do the same thing with the CJ. You could go up to his stand, I guess. You could use a glitch to go up to his stand, which I'm pretty sure you can still do now. And every time he jumps, you make him swipe at you, which makes him damage everyone for -10, except yourself, because you're doing you're stuck doing the knockback animation. And I greened about 2 people in that CJ. And again, I prefer not to talk about it, but I'm talking about it right now. But again, that has been patched like a few weeks afterward, I think. And I was a little disappointed when it was patched, because at that time I was still a greener. But I stopped doing it after I received a month ban. So I'm like, if I get terminated, it's all over. So I'm not getting terminated from this game. That's when I decided to become the glitch god. Funny enough. So that's when I decided to start doing glitches instead of greening, which I thought was actually much more entertaining than greening. Now, whenever I green a single person or do anything bad in any game, really, I feel very bad about it. But whereas if I find glitches that most people think doing glitches are pretty funny and cool, and I'm like, okay, I'll stick to that instead. Glitching is fun, and other people think it's fun too. And showing others how to do it is even better because they find pleasure out of it too. But anyway, what I'm here to talk about is why exactly do greeners green, and why do they troll? Well, why do they like to do it? Talking from my own experience, it's because it's fun. Now, you might think that you're crazy for thinking that greening is fun, but really, just think about it. Bullying. Why do bullies bully? Because they think it's fun to make other people's day worse, and also because they want to feel like they have some power. Same thing with greeners. Greeners want to ruin other people's day. They want to make them feel really bad, and they want to show some sort of, not always, sometimes they just want to show some sort of power. It could just be because they find pleasure out of ruining other people's day. Same reason bullies like to bully. They like to ruin the day for other people. And, I mean, that's probably one of the biggest reasons. Again, if you watch Cozy Evil Twin or Team Trap, and you find pleasure from his videos, then you don't know exactly why people like to green. Because you find pleasure out of it. Even if you don't green yourself, there are probably some of you out there who would never green yourself, who would never go out to green other people yourself, but you find pleasure out of watching Cozy Evil Twin or Team Drop's videos, which if you do, that's your answer right there. You find pleasure out of it. But greening, again, is very similar to bullying, and not in. And when you green, it's almost it's almost, how do I say it, like similar to why people like to make Ubers, reverse Ubers, and semi-tunes. Because they beat the game and they have nothing else to do. I mean, yeah, they can go play a different game, but they want to keep playing Toontown, and what is there to do in Toontown other than grind bosses, other than do boss after boss after boss after boss, because that can get boring after a while? Well, find something else to do in the game, and that, for me, that thing was glitching. For other people, that is making the game harder on other people, by greening or trolling them. And again, when you think about it in terms of why people bully, this is I don't want to say valid answer because bullying isn't good, but in terms of this, yeah, that's a pretty valid answer. But you could also say that a lot of greeners that you encounter aren't 137 lap tunes. That could be either because one, they don't want to grind out the game to 137 lap and then just get banned for greening. That's a horrible idea. Or second of all, they could have a 137 lap tune, but they're using a VPN and they borrowing a tune that has 100 lap or something like that. Or not always. Sometimes they make their own 100 lap tune. So I've been able to do it in under a month before. In fact, if you're any electrolytic meadows, you can get to 115 in less than a month. So, they get to 100 last in within maybe a month. They turn on a VPN, they use that VPN for all the time they're on that toon, and they use that toon to green so their main account can stay safe. I barely ever encounter a greener who has 137 last because the amount of time and grinding it takes to get there is not worth determination. That is why most people like to use alternate accounts to green, ones that they didn't do much grinding on. That way, you know, when that account does get terminated, they don't really have much to lose because their main account is still in good standing. So, but you should also really think about this. Like a lot of times when people are getting greened, especially a lot of people in the Toontown Ribbon community, are all gonna say that greeners are people who have no life, don't have anything else better to do, and stuff like that. Well, why don't you look at yourself when you say that? When someone greens and you want to tell them that they're just a no life who don't have anything better to do, you should really think about what you're doing. You're playing Toontown, and you don't have anything else to do than play Toontown. Because if you're saying that a greener doesn't have anything better to do, well, they find pleasure out of greening, and you find pleasure out of playing Toontown. So, no, they don't have anything better to do because they find pleasure out of greening people in the game, while you find pleasure out of playing the game. So technically, they're doing the same thing that you are, except they're doing it. They're playing the same game you are, except they're doing something different in the game. So you can't really use the argument that they have no life and they don't have anything better to do, because you should look at yourself. You're playing the same game, and you would, if you could do something else, you would be playing something else. But you like to be playing Toontown, and so that's the game you're going to be playing. They like to play Toontown too, except they like to do other things in Toontown that is different from what you like to do. So that's what they're going to do. So you can't just say, oh, they have no life, because they do have a life. They're just like you, except they're doing something different in the game. Now, I guess I should also talk about when people are being greened, why don't they just leave the battle? Because I've been greened multiple times too, so I have experience on that too. The main reason is because they don't want to lose. They don't want to lose. They want to win. And for whatever psychological reason, that if the win counts if they use up a bunch of rewards, even though they could have saved those rewards if we left. But for some reason, they want to use rewards. In fact, when I'm being green, I don't like using rewards. I just want to try to survive. Because if I have to use rewards to survive, I might as well just leave so I don't lose all the rewards. But I still want to win. People also think, and I also think the same way too, that if they leave, technically the greener won. The greener was successful in what they were trying to do. While you didn't go sad, they made you leave the battle. You didn't get a reward. The only difference is that you didn't go sad. So the greener wins in this scenario, technically. And a lot of people don't want that. They don't want the greener to win. So they try to stay alive as long as possible to see the greener fail. Which isn't necessarily a bad idea, but when it comes to having to waste rewards and you're going to lose level 7s that you're going to lose anyway if you win sad, then that could cause problems on the victim's end. And I guess I should also say that you can't green them back. There have been multiple cases in which people say you can't green a greener back because that counts as greening, and so you would get banned for greening them. Even though they were greening you and you're just trying to stop them and make it easier on yourself by getting rid of them, greening them back is still technically greening, so whatever reason, you're going to get banned for that. I've heard stories of people who got banned for greening a greener back. I'm pretty sure the greener got banned too, but... So, the only thing they can really do is just try to survive. They can't green the greener back, or they're at risk of getting banned too. So the only thing they can do is just keep themselves healed, or else they're going to be in danger of getting banned. Now again, they don't want to leave because either one, the greener wins, and two, they're not going to get the reward for completing the boss, even though they're probably not going to if the greener is still there. They're probably going to lose the boss anyway if they don't leave because the greener is going to green them. But a lot of people feel confident, again, that they can just beat the boss with the greener there and show the greener that they have failed in greening, and give the victim a sort of accomplishment that they were able to beat the boss, even though there was this really bad troll in the group. It can make him feel good that maybe they were able to complete the entire boss, and this greener just completely failed to green them. But a lot of the time, the greener doesn't care whether or not you survive. A lot of the time, they just care about dragging the battle on for so long, to the point where when you finally finished, you wasted like 2 hours. That you could have just left, done maybe 2 bosses in the amount of time it took you to do that boss. So yeah, because there are like just like in the VP battle, how you can't phantom jump the VP anymore. A lot of times they just try to make the battle drag out for as long as possible, so that eventually either you leave and they succeed, or you die because it's taking so long, or it just takes so long to complete that by the time they do win, that the time the victim does win the boss, it really doesn't feel like it was for anything anymore. So, what is the best thing to do in this scenario? Leave. Just leave. While I haven't been a person to just leave the boss battle while being green, if you want to retain your sanity, just leave. I mean, you can probably find another group easily. Even though you probably don't want to, you just want to finish the boss and get out of there, just leave. I mean, it's gonna work for you, and even if the greener takes that as a win, and you take it as a win to the greener, at least you don't suffer by losing your level 7s. You don't have to waste your reward to survive. You don't lose all your life. You can just go right into another boss battle with most likely without another greener. It's easy as that. But a lot of people don't like to do that because they don't want to give the greener a satisfaction of winning, or they feel so confident that they can win, or they just want to get out of there. They want to defeat the boss, and which is understandable to me, but still, people will just refuse. Just people just refuse to leave, even though people will tell you just leave the battle. People don't want to, which kind of really shows how it can be easy to green people, even though there's a way to leave the greening right at the top right corner of your screen, or the top left if you're on Mac. It's still very easy to green people because of the fact that they don't want to leave. And so the greener finds pleasure in making the time worse for people like that. And if you see Code Zucchini's Evil Twins videos of angry golfers, he doesn't green. Well, I mean, he does kind of green, but his intent isn't usually to make them go sad, mainly because of the fact that you really can't green in a cog golf course because the maze and the cog golf both heal you for like a ton of laugh. So even if you got them down to a really low amount of laugh, once you complete the cog golf, they're gonna like get almost all of that back. So really no point in greening in a cog golf course because they're just gonna heal it all back. But his main intent is to just drag it on for as long as possible, to the point where the players just start to lose their sanity, they start to not care anymore, to the point where the back nine just feels like it was for nothing. To the point where it can even take like the amount of to the point where the back nine itself is the length of 2 back nines, where they could have just left, done 2 back nines in the amount of time that 1 back nine took, which, considering how bad boss bot grinding is, can be a really big pain to a lot of people. It's also the same deal with skipping to the final battle, like the supervisor or the clerk, and making it so your group doesn't get any points for it, while you're not necessarily greening them, you're still making it much worse on them by making it so that you beat the boss and they don't get a single point for doing that the office B or mint or factory. You can do it in back nines, which I might go into detail another time. So back nines fall into this as well. You can ditch in back nines. I'm not going to fall into detail right about it now. And while that's not necessarily greening, but you are technically making the game much worse on them because of the fact that they did all that work. They did the whole back nine, a whole office B, a bullyman, a factory, and they didn't get a single point from it. And if you're doing it in a back nine, if you know the way to do it in a back nine, or even on an office D, because office D can be a pain since all the office Ds you have to do in Lawbot, not getting any points from promotion points at all from those means you have to do a whole another one just to make up for it. And if along with ditching them, you also try to make it go on for as long as possible by setting off all the puzzles or by doing what Coach Evil Twin does in Angry Golfers. You basically made it so that it lasts double or even triple the amount of time it should. and they don't even get a single reward from it. So you basically ruin their day to the worst point possible, where they literally could have done that like 2 or 3 in the amount of time that took, and they didn't even get a single reward for the amount of time it took. Now that's only ever happened to me once, where I've gotten ditched. Um, I was able to join the battle, but right as I joined, they used the geyser on the clerk, and they did it without me. But that's the only time I've ever gotten ditched. In fact, I have actually ditched people about twice before. Once I've ditched people about twice. Once was in a factory, once was at an office B. But I didn't actually get banned for it. But I'm never doing that again because again, I am banned from the game already. Uh, if I ever do get back in the game, I don't want that lingering at all because it's an easy way to get banned. Just continue greening. That's an easy way to get terminated. Easy way to get banned. Easy way to get terminated. But you want to know an even better way to stop Office D ditches? If you have laser puzzles on the 6th floor and you're being ditched, just set one of them off. Because the laser puzzles pull everyone into the battle, not just whoever's in the room. Everyone, even if you're not in the room, you get pulled in. So it might actually help to purposely set off one of the laser puzzles if you have one on that room, so you can pull the ditcher into the battle with you, and hopefully they won't be able to complete the final battle because they were glitched into the laser one. Which I was given that opportunity at the time I was ditched in Office B, but I wasn't thinking about that, and I didn't utilize it to my advantage. Instead I tried to glitch over to I tried to do the glitch to get to the end, and right before I joined, they used the geyser, and I didn't get any points. But oh well. And I don't even think I was working on max notice. I think I just needed about 2,000 maybe. So while I didn't get any points from it, I just needed another Office B, and I was good to go again. So so yeah. Oh, actually, there was also another time I've been green in a VP where there was this dog and like 3 cats, I think. And now that I think about it, I think they were elitists. I didn't know about the term elitist back then. It was such a long time ago. But now that I think about it, I think they were elitists. I mean, when you hear it, they probably were elitists. So there was this dog who I think he had no gags, and he also had like 30 laugh out of 130, and I'm like, why? Why? Or maybe even 20. I know, all I know is he had a really low laugh out of over 100, and I'm like, why? Why would you not bring any gags and have less than 20 laugh in this VP? And so, I let him die. Well, I don't think I can't quite remember. Either I like made a mistake and he died because of it, or I purposely let him die. All I know is that he died the first round because Hollywood hit him. And then those 3 cats that were with them just all went against me and tried their very best to green me in the VP, all because their friend died because of me. And I'm like, guys, he had less than 20 laugh and no gags. And we didn't even use tune-up on that round. Of course he's gonna go sad. Right? I mean, it's almost as if they're trying to lure people into a trap to green that dog. And then those cats can give in a reason to then green the person who greened the dog. So that way it makes it seem like their greening was justified, so they can have fun in greening the person. Not only that, I wasn't the only one in that VP. It wasn't just me and those cats. It was like 2 or 3 other people in the VP with us. And for some reason, and now that I think about it, I think those people were working with them because they weren't upset. Because those other like random people, I guess, weren't upset about them greening. It was almost as if they were having fun too. It's almost as if for somehow I stumbled into a VP where 7 people were all working together, and all were working together to set up this trap of this 100 laugh dog having 20 laughs, have them go sad because of a mistake, or maybe I do on purpose, giving them all 6 or 7 of them a reason to green me, and then doing all that just to green one single person. All because of the fact that I let a person who had 20 laugh remaining, who went to the boss with 20 laugh remaining and no gags, go sad. Of course, this was a long time ago. That was like the only time I've ever experienced something like that, and I think nowadays pretty rare to find something like that, especially because of the fact that you can't phantom jump anymore. So it's much harder to green in certain bosses. However, you can unstun the CFO by doing the same thing. When he's stunned, just touch him, hit his side, run into his side wheels, and then you want to stun him. I'm surprised CTR hasn't caught that yet. But yeah, you can unstun the CFO by just doing that. So that's not necessarily greening, because again, the definition of greening is to purposely make them go sad. It can still be used as a way to troll and make the battle go on longer, because you can't use any saves on the CFO. And while he's not dizzy, he's able to hit people. So, and also while he's not dizzy, he can the lower he is on health, um, the less time it takes for him to get a random safe on his head. The game is programmed to put a safe on his head after he's been unstunned for long enough and his life is low and his health is low enough. I think actually he can get a safe at any health, but the lower it is, the smaller the shorter the timer is. So you can technically troll in the last round of the CFO by one, standing right behind the craners and making the CFO target you, so they also target the craner, or by just unstunning the CFO, so the team can only do it with goons. Actually, there's a way to glitch inside the CFO, which I'm not going to go into detail right now, because, or should I? All I know is that there's a way to go inside the CFO, which allows you to, since the goons in the CFO are small enough to be disabled just by running over them, you can glitch inside of the CFO, and you can just stand right in the middle, and you will disable all of the goons before they're even able to come out of the CFO, and no one will be able to do anything. Which is pretty funny, actually. But I'm not going to go into detail on that, and I don't need to, because I'm already banned from the game. So, so that's greening, and the fact that I have been a former greener on Toon Written, and really only Toon Written. At the time of me being a greener, I didn't really play any other Toon server. But yeah. So there's my rant on greening. If you see a greener, just think about why you're doing it, and think about the fact that you're playing the same game as they are, and they are just playing it differently, pretty much. And again, press the X at the top right or top left corner of the screen. Easy, but of course there's a reason why people don't want to do it, and I've explained that already. So yeah, that's why people green, and that's how you leave greening, and that's greening. So have a nice day.